Why is communication so significant in our lives? And why does the model of communication impact positively or negatively on us? Today, I'm going to be looking at silent treatment, the causes, the impact, and what we can do to mitigate these. And to really make this significant and practical, I want you to think about this phrase that we hear all the time, which is the sound of silence. And this is because the unsaid word has a larger echo than any voice or verbalized text. And the reason for this is because of the ambiguity that sits with silence. Why are they so silent? Why are they not talking to me? What did I do? What did I not do? What are they thinking? What are they feeling? Are they lost? Are they confused? Am I misunderstood? What does that silence mean? And that's why it's so loud, because it's so ambiguous. It represents everything and nothing. Now, I want you to imagine that you live in a major town that is linked by a bridge to another city. On the one city is your hometown, where you live. And you have to cross this beautiful bridge into the other city where your hobbies, your job, your lover, your gyms, your banking, your marketing, your family, and everything that's valuable to you lives. And now you have to understand and communicate with this person in the hometown, but their value and their presence also comes from across the bridge. Now imagine the bridge collapsing and you're thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? My money is over there. My love is over there. My gym, my market, and everything is over there across the bridge. And that doesn't take away the presence of you and the value of you, but it means that you've gotten so used to linking with the bank to spend, linking with your gym to exercise, your family, your lover, the engagement, the interaction, and everything. And suddenly, silence, collapsed, breakdown. How do you cope with that silence, with that ambiguity? It doesn't mean that they are your everything, but it actually means that their actions, their presence, or their absence impacts on your everything. So pretend that the water you drink, you physically have to fetch it and put it in your mouth because you're the individual. But at the same time, the people around you impact on the quality of that water. Whether they muddy your pool, whether it's hot, whether it's cool, whether or not you feel well enough and motivated enough to drink, can be impacted by their actions. So it doesn't mean that just because they are not talking to you will drive you to death, but it actually means that it has significant mental, emotional, and practical everyday implications to your actions and your plans and your self-love and self-care and self-worth, mental well-being. And this is why I want us to really dig into this topic. Now, my name is Aso, and I appreciate my returning subscribers. I want to encourage you, if you're watching for the first time, to subscribe and join me. I upload content on this channel every week around social sciences and social work related topics, with the purpose of creating an awareness so that we can use that for reflection, growth, and healing. Now, join me and let's look into this toxic and unhealthy habit. Now, what are some of the examples and reasons for silent treatment? The first one that comes to mind is a form of emotional resilience, where an emotionally mature partner intentionally makes the decision to walk away from you and to give themselves some space for healing and reflection after you do something that hurts them significantly or elevates their emotions to a point where they recognize that having a conversation with you at this moment is just going to escalate the way they are feeling. It may lead to them saying things to you that will just be hurtful and spiteful, and you may never take back. They love you, but they want to walk away now and look after themselves and then come back and speak to you about that thing at another time where their emotions are in check and they are in a mental space to have a conversation that will potentially be positive or solution focused. And that is actually a mature way to deal with things. Unless this becomes persistent in your relationship, you've hurt somebody, they need to process that information and deal with it and then decide how they are going to respond to it after their emotions are in check. The other thing that really creates silent treatment, which is the opposite of the de-escalation, is narcissistic and controlling. When someone intentionally decides to be spiteful and hateful and shameful, to ignore you, dismiss your views, minimize you, and really just starve you of their attention and affection to get a reaction or to send a message that they are upset, that you fell short of their expectations and you have to pay the price. Now, this is the really toxic one, because if it's a one-off based on maybe their health or some tragedy that they're dealing with or something else, and then you can tolerate. But if this is ongoing persistently in your relationship, whether as a parent or an employer or a lover, then you could really start to doubt yourself, because every time they're silent, you're wondering, what did I do this time? What do you need? How did I hurt you? When are they going to start talking to me again? And it just, the list and the spiral just goes on and on and on. And if they are intentionally using that to control and manipulate you, it can also be manifested through passive aggressive behavior, where they're withholding information or other things from you. Oh, you were going to give me those ideas for the job interview. Why don't you go and ask so and so that you've been hanging around with? And so for the first time, you find out that they are upset with so and so, and they haven't had a conversation with you about it, but it just comes out in that explosive moment, and then there's that lockdown. It can also be, I'm okay, when you try and resolve a solution by starting a conversation to figure out what's going on. It's like, I'm okay. You already know what you did. Why don't you ask so and so? And that level of deflecting and avoidance is just escalating your emotional turmoil and torture. Silent treatment can come from insecurities. It can come from really negative point of view of someone who intentionally wants to hurt, or it can come from somebody who struggles with vulnerability, who is avoiding certain topics either because they are not able to open up about those topics, or because they worry about how you will interpret the information that they will give you. It can also be just someone who is really dodgy and doesn't want to have that conversation because they are guilty of something. And so they throw a lot of dust and sand in the air and they scratch and hurt so that you can go away from that conversation and that topic. And that really keeps you questioning yourself. Did you even observe that thing? Now I've hurt their feelings. It must be wrong, or it is right. But then I can't be bothered to have this conversation again because it's just going to lead to more sun in my eyes. And that is the other reason for silent treatment. You feel like talking to somebody is literally bashing your head on the wall. You know it's not going to sink. You know they will deflect. You know they will deny. And it will end up with an exhausting, non-solution focused conversation or argument. So you just silence yourself and stay muted to create that false peace or your own version of self-preserved peace because you don't want to go down the other hate bashing route. So silent treatment is like a persistent massive elephant in the room of your relationship. If you punish the child and don't talk to them, You don't speak to the child because they did not meet your timelines and boundaries. You don't speak to the lover because they hurt you or they didn't meet your expectations. They don't speak to you because they are being controlling or insecure. It sometimes could happen because of bad timing. Somebody walks through the door after a really difficult day and you bring an emotionally challenging discussion of that they are not at a position to deal with that conversation in that instance. So they walk away, and their own ego and their own pride impacts them from bringing it back to a more appropriate level. And certainly it escalates to something worse than just bad timing in the beginning. But effective communication can resolve all of these things. And as much as all relationships have these issues, the toxic ones and the ones to watch are those that become persistent. If you feel like you're aching just to have a meaningful conversation with somebody persistently, if you feel somebody shutting you up and walking away persistently from your views and your feelings, and also, if you are struggling to listen to yourself, all those warning signs internally of your health and your mood and the health of that relationship, how you're being treated, they start with that hometown at the other end of that bridge, which is you, communicating with you, understanding you, failing to bring your own insecurities in the form of attack in that relationship, failing to listen, failing to pick those signs, and failing to respect your own voice when it's being dismissed. So at the end of the day, you cannot improve a relationship by getting better, by doing better, by rising above, because it's the acknowledgement that you are actually diminished in that relationship. So if you find yourself doing more, working harder, trying harder to please and please and please, and meet up and catch up and ask, what can I do? What must I do? What did I do? Then it's not healthy. And that's for you, first of all, to understand. And then try that conversation to resolve. And if it doesn't work over and over and over again, there is no relationship. And that's the end point of this discussion. A relationship is the communication. You look beautiful. You look tired. Do you want to come with me? Do you want to do that project together? That's the relationship. So when there is no communication, there is no relationship. Language is the medium. Expressions are the medium. And when you take those away, you've taken away the relationship and you've taken away the process and everything that it embodies. So what are you doing? Day after day, when you sit in that relationship, that person who dismisses you, who ignores you, who disrespects you, silent treatment is a massive evidence of cracks and unhealthy nature of relationships, or really, in my words, the lack thereof. Because if you're not going to talk to me, if you're not going to resolve, discuss, agree, disagree, agree to disagree, then there is no relationship. So figure it out, reflect, assess, and do something positive about it, or really build on you enough to walk away from such toxicity. Thank you for watching, and please share this information so that you can really support and empower someone else to do the right thing to get healthy in their life.